And then after like day 4 or 5, when I realized that
Ain't nobody coming.
wasn't nobody coming, that's when I had to start just like
Did you-
letting
did-
all the emotions and
Did you
tears
ever
come
cry?
out.
Did you ever cry?
I cried for 2 weeks straight. Yeah, my wife said I cried for 2 weeks straight.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Club Shay Shay. I am your host. I'm also the proprietor of Club Shay Shay, and the guy that's stopping by for conversation and a drink today is one of the NFL's most electrifying players. He transformed the quarterback position. He's the first African-American quarterback to be selected #1 overall, the first quarterback to rush for 1,000 yards in a season, and he still holds the record for the most rush yards by a quarterback with over 6,100. You knew him for having the Michael Vick experience. Mike Vick. Mike, how you doing, bro?
Thanks for having me, Shay.
Hey, bro, you come by the club, we got to toast this thing.
Yeah, we got to toast this. I done drunk half of it. I'm already.
He did.
I done went in early, so that's why I'm here.
Oh, I appreciate
Enjoy
that.
the experience.
So how you doing?
Doing great, Shay. Life's good, kids good, family good, wife good, and enjoying my time as a sports analyst, man. And
What's a typical day like for Michael Vick? You wake up at what time?
I'm so blessed, man. I wake up at 6:30.
Okay.
I wake up at 6:30. My oldest daughter just started driving to school, which
Okay.
is, not a nightmare, but it's a maturity process.
Right.
And
You
so
still
that's
get a little
different.
anxious?
Yeah. So I take my youngest daughter to school at like 7:30, and then from there I'm up. I'm trying to figure out like what's the next line of business. If I got to come on the show with you guys,
Right.
if I got to do speak and then from there, my youngest son is in school, so I pick him up, and I get a chance to experience what life is like as a dad, truly. And when I retired, that's what I wanted. I wanted to make up for all that lost time.
Right. Do your kids understand who you are? I mean, how old were they when you were playing? Did they get an opportunity to experience any of the Michael Vick experience?
They did, but they was young. I would say they was around, I retired in 2015, so Jada might have been 9. My oldest son was 11.
Right.
And so they seen it.
They got the Philly, they got the Pittsburgh. They didn't really get the ATL.
They didn't get the experience.
They didn't get the Michael Vick
No,
experience.
they didn't get that, which is
was a
something
blessing
it is a blessing and a curse. But now they see the aftermath, and
Right.
it leave them wondering. But I try to cut on YouTube and all that here and there, but they don't want to hear that shit. And my youngest son, he's 5 years old. I try to cut. This was daddy. He look at it, and he'd go off to something else. So I'm hoping one day football stick or he gravitate to it a little bit.
Right. When like young players, when they shoot the ball, they like Kobe.
Yeah.
When any quarterback take off running, the first thing they holler, "Man, that joke a Vick. Man, that's a Vick."
Yeah.
How does that make you feel that you're revered like you're revered?
It makes me feel good, Shannon, because it was a time in my career where I started to feel like my style of play wasn't going to sustain.
Right.
And I got criticized for it to a certain degree, and I just started to go through that phase of, man, I got to become a true pocket passer. And it was in Atlanta. My coaches encouraged me, Greg Knapp, rest in peace, Jim Moore, just be yourself. Continue to be yourself. It's a great way to play the game. I always thought just moving the chains and, by any means necessary was the way to get it done. And then it wasn't until I got to Andy. And I always wanted to play with Andy, for Andy, because I seen the way he handled Donovan.
Right.
And they had some great years. And he's like, look, man, you just take what you got and you just build on it. And from that point, when I got to Andy in 2009, I'm just going with it.
When you were in Atlanta, did you ever try to suppress who you were naturally as far as running the football? You like, you know what, man, y'all beat me up for running the football. Y'all say I can't read a defense, and so I just take off running. That everything that I'm getting is because of my leg. Did you actually suppress a little bit of who you were as a running quarterback to try to prove to everybody I can throw the ball from the pocket?
Absolutely. It was a game in 2005. I had an MCL injury. I was playing, probably shouldn't have been out on the field. And I told myself, I'm gonna use this moment to show that I can pass the football.
Right.
Say when I say I went out, I'm gonna go back and look at the stats, but maybe we can look it up, man. I probably passed for 350, went like 28 for 34. One of them days I was hot, I was
Right.
feeling it. And I went to the podium afterwards, and it was very immature for me to go off on the media
Right.
because there was no need to go off on a tangent. With them, I was young and I was like suppressing what I did best.
Right.
And so I just let them have it that day. I was, don't ever say I can't pass the football from the pocket ever again. And now I'm going back to being me. I'm
Right.
going back to being a dual threat. And I just wanted to prove that. So it was always something that, it's always something that pushed you, which is a good thing.
Right.
And it was all for the better. And which, goes back to what you just talked about, what you just said. Now when people mention a great run or see a great run, they mention it in me, and that's because now I had the people around me to say, keep doing what you do.
Right. When I look at you, everybody was like, man, when are we going to see that Michael Vick in Atlanta that we saw at Virginia Tech? A guy that a broken play that he could get off script. They called a play, he could get off that script and go hit his head on the goalpost. I think it was the Minnesota game.
It was the Minnesota game, but it was your coach,
Dan
your
Reeves.
former coach, Dan Reeves.
Yep, Coach
man.
Reeves, rest your soul,
Rest
Coach.
his soul, Dan Reeves. And I was at the funeral when you gave an amazing speech talking about Coach. I was in the back crying, honestly. Coach was just, like, he had a way with me. Funny story is I never wanted to play for Dan Reeves. I was watching him as a kid. I watched him go off on John and
He was tough.
He was tough
He
on
was
John.
tough, man.
He was tough, but by the time I got to him, and it was ironic he drafted me. He was lighthearted.
Yep.
He showed a different emotion. He was like took baby steps with me, and he gave me the confidence. And his play calling was catered towards my ability, like what. I seen Justin Fields yesterday, and I seen Daniel Jones do like a sweep, like an 18 sweep, quarterback sweep, just generic.
Right.
And he was doing that type of stuff with me in 2002. So just great times, great memories.
When you see these young quarterbacks, you mentioned Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, Saquon nicknamed him Vanilla Ice. You see Lamar Jackson. You see the advent of the quarterback, and now legs. It's not criticized as much as it was when you were playing.
No.
Now it's embraced. Man, you see with Justin Fields, he just had back-to-back games. He had 350 yards. You see what
broke
Lamar
my records and all that.
Right. Do you wish had it been embraced more when you were played? You think you would have been more receptive to it and said, you know what? This is who I am. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to add the passing ability from the pocket, but this was what I believe that can help lead a team to a Super Bowl.
Or even if I could just vent and say, give me some time.
Right.
Give me some time to grow.
Right.
I'm coming out of offense in college where it was run-oriented.
Right.
And then, we didn't pass it a lot. I still led the nation in passing efficiency, so I knew how to play keep away and keep the ball away from the defense. And so as those years, and it all starts when you started losing.
Right.
When you lose games, you drop a couple of games, and then I got injured trying to run the ball. And so it's all these things circulating. If you don't stop running the ball, you're not going to have longevity. I got all these things in my head when I just wanted to play football.
Right.
Like, let me just play my style of football. They fired Dan Reeves in 2003 after a win, ironically, which was crazy. And so now I got to pick up the pieces. Now, then they bring in the West Coast system, which we was both in.
Right.
And so that they brought that in to teach me how to be a passer.
Right.
Rich McKay's idea. When he hired Jim Moore and they brought in Greg Knapp and those guys. And so now I'm forced to learn the West Coast system, but I'm still in the back of my mind, like, if all this fails and break down, I'm gonna take off and run.
To the house.
And however, whatever criticism I gotta deal with, I'm gonna deal with it.
Right.
And I left it at that. And I made the Pro Bowl that year.
Yep.
And then the next year, sometimes you peak and then you start to digress.
Right.
And so we regressed in 2005, and then now here come the rumbles, here come the whispers.
Yeah.
You can't be a runner, you can't do it both. You can't be a dual threat. I run for 1,000 yards in 06, but we don't make the playoffs.
Right.
So now it's like some got to give.
Right.
And then I never made it to the 2007 my seventh season, 2007, because I ended up going to prison.
Right.
But what happened with Shay, Bobby Petrino came with his offense.
Right.
And man, when I say I was about to light the league up in 2007, I just never made it
That's
to
the
that
offense
season.
that Lamar Jackson won the Heisman Trophy in.
Yes. And we was about to run it in the NFL. It was about to get crazy.
Go back. You did something that no other team had ever done. You went to Lambeau Field and beat the Packers in a home playoff game.
Yeah.
That raised the bar for Mike Vick, because think about all those other great teams that have gone there, all those other great quarterbacks have gone to Lambeau and tasted defeat in the playoffs. Here come Michael Vick. That might have been your
2002 season.
2002. Yeah.
2002.
So you go into your second season. Now you have to first of all, to get to the playoffs, you got to go to Cleveland. You beat Cleveland in Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken.
Beat Cleveland. Well, yeah, we beat Cleveland. It was a crazy clinch.
Yeah, y'all had to win a couple of games at the end just to make the playoffs.
I learned in that game, all the guys, we playing in Cleveland.
Yeah.
No sleeves. You got to be tough. All this whole, tough guy type of stuff. And I froze. I froze my ass off that day. I'm like, never again. So that next week in Green Bay, I'm warm.
Right.
I'm ready to go, and we blast them.
Right.
We march up in there and say it. And it was, I never say the game was easy that night. It was like, when it's a sense of calm.
Right.
And then you, like, emotionally, you're not really, it's no anxiety. We're the underdogs.
Right.
We already, there's Brent Favre on the other side, so I'm ecstatic to be going up against him.
Right.
I'm like, man, I get to go against my childhood hero.
Right.
To some degree. And, man, we waxed him that night, though.
Right.
We got to him.
I look at Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson, I think he compares favorably to you, not just because he's a black quarterback, but his ability to throw the football. I think he might be a little better passer than you, especially at this stage of his career.
Yeah, no doubt.
You said that you believe Lamar is a more dynamic runner than you are. I don't know about that, Mike.
Nah. I made a comment when he was in
college.
It was just one of them days where I'm sitting there watching him, and I'm like, hold on. I played against Florida State.
Right.
In the national championship. I gave him work.
Right.
But he was just like, he was toying with him.
Right.
He was playing with him. It looked effortless. It looked easy. And Bobby Petrino was the coach, and I'm like, I just had to say it.
Right.
And it was almost like I was waiting to see something like this.
Right.
I never thought I would see somebody who looked like me.
Right.
Ever again.
Right.
But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, that can't be possible. Like, God working mysterious ways. Somebody gonna come along. So as I'm watching Lamar, I'm really trying to push the envelope for him. Like, he need to play it on the next. I can't wait to see him on the next level in today's time, in today's offenses, what he would look like now. And he ended up getting drafted to Baltimore, and
Are you surprised that people wanted him to change positions, that they wanted him to be a wide receiver, they wanted him to be something other than a quarterback, although the man had won the Heisman Trophy, had a better year his third year than he had the year that he won the Heisman, and people still say, nah, we hadn't seen enough, we want you to try position.
Yeah.
But to his credit, to his mom credit, he said, nah, I'm a quarterback. She said, my son is a quarterback. And if you don't want to draft him at that position, that's your choice. But he'll only play quarterback.
Absolutely. I did some interviews regarding Lamar leading up to the draft.
Right.
And I told a reporter who said it to me, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. I can't remember who it was, what network, what outlet, but I told him that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. If this guy don't play quarterback in the National Football League, it'd be a tragedy. And whether he went, I'm like, I don't care what y'all talking about. If he don't go in the first, second, and third round, that's cool. I said, whoever draft him in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, if that's what y'all think, gonna get a gem. And he'll eventually become one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. Because, you can look at some guys and, he's instinctive. He's gonna know how to maneuver the pocket and work it. Just gotta get with an offensive coordinator who can mold him. I think the best thing for Lamar was getting drafted to Baltimore. Marty Morningwig was there. He was a disciple of Andy Reid, West Coast system. So he got to learn protections and
because wasn't Marty the OC when you were in
Marty
Philly?
was the OC when I was in Philly.
Okay.
Yep. And Andy was the overseer and so on and so forth. But he got the chance to get a great understanding of offenses.
Right.
So
the contract. They offered him a contract. It wasn't to his liking. He see the contract out there. He see Deshaun Watson's contract. $250 million guaranteed. Deshaun Watson is a phenomenal player, but I don't believe he's accomplished as much as in the NFL as Lamar has. Lamar is a unanimous MVP.
Yeah.
Lamar is a multiple-time Pro Bowl player. He's won a playoff game, gotten his team to the playoffs several times. He's like, you know what? He said, now, my contract is dry. I'm on the last page, the last chapter, the punctuation of my contract. Deshaun had years left on his contract, and Cleveland tore it up.
Yeah.
He's like, how would you have approached that situation? They come to you now, they offer you more money than you ever thought you'd ever make. And he said, nah, I'm worth more than that.
Yeah.
And you know, the NFL season is a landmine.
Right.
One wrong step and something goes boom. And he said, you know what? Because I'm willing to roll the dice, I'm gonna bet on me. And at the end of the year, yesterday's price, as Fat Joe say, is not today's price.
Exactly.
What, if I don't know if you talked to him, if you could advise Lamar, how would you have advised him in that situation?
I understand. I would have advised them in terms of, look, I understand the business acumen in this whole situation. Like it makes sense for you to get the most money that you can possibly make in this game because, like you say, one false move, the season end, career can be ended, injury, and then you may get treated a certain way.
Right.
And so that's logical. That could become fact. But one, I think Cleveland made that move to make it hard for Baltimore.
Right.
Two, when you accept this type of money versus based on cap space, and the one thing that it becomes a real issue is that it's hard to sign other guys, man.
Right.
It's hard to keep teams together.
Right.
You're going to eventually have to restructure.
Lamar said, I'll restructure.
Yeah.
As long as y'all keep giving them signing bonuses, I will restructure.
Yeah, but
I need that $300 million guaranteed.
Yeah,
though.
but man, you can't go out now. It limits your chances. To me, it limits your chances of going out and getting the championship.
But let me tell you what Lamar said. Lamar said after I won that MVP the third year, y'all could have came to me.
They could have did it then.
Something.
They could have got it done.
Y'all
then.
came to me at that fourth year, y'all could have done something.
Honestly,
so
I thought
he
that's
said y'all didn't. He said y'all didn't believe in me. God did.
Right.
DJ Khaled.
God did.
Yeah, because that's the thing. What we're seeing now is that when teams believe in their quarterbacks, we saw it with Mahomes. We saw it with Josh Allen.
Step up.
We saw it with Deshaun. When they believe in that quarterback after that third year.
Oh yeah, even in Houston.
Yeah. They went. Yeah. They go give you the money because they believe in you.
Right.
Because they didn't. The man had an MVP.
Yeah.
He had an MVP, a unanimous MVP. Only two players in the history has ever won it unanimously. So he said, so what else do I need to do?
I would have now in that moment, I probably would have got with my reps and went to the table right then and there.
Right.
Like, yo, let's just get this out the way
Right.
because it's gonna be a bigger issue next year.
Right.
And that didn't happen. So, having the right representation and all that at the right time, timing is everything in a lot of these situations.
His representation is his mom. His mom is handling with some help from the NFL.
Yeah, which I respect. I respect that. And
but it's just hard because look, when you've been in contract negotiation, the team's gonna tell you everything that you're not.
Right.
And sometimes it gets personal. And the one thing I don't want, don't you tell your agent, your agent doesn't tell you all the things bad that they say about you.
You're right.
Because he knows you're human.
Right.
The human element is gonna come into a play.
Yes.
Oh, that's what y'all think about me?
Yep.
Y'all don't think I'm good as this guy? Y'all don't think I'm that bad as that guy?
Yep.
I can get this. And so now you go in there, you huffing and puffing.
Yeah. This the one thing I will say about my agent, Joel Siegel. Shout out to Joel. He's like good people. He's like a father figure to me. Joel used to have me sometimes in the room doing contract negotiations, just so I can hear some of the things that's being said, whether I liked it or not. He's like, you're gonna sit right here and you're gonna know all the reasons why I can get something done or I can't get something done. So when I think about representation in a sense, I think you need that professionalism, on some level, so that you don't have to ask for everything.
Right.
You don't have to hear certain things.
Right.
And that's the only thing I think could have been different in this case. But nevertheless, he's gonna get the money. It's gonna happen. Whether it come from Baltimore, they'll be a fool if they don't. You can't. Good quarterbacking is hard to find.
Yeah.
You know that. So it's gonna happen for him, man. It's just all about where. And I hope it's in Baltimore because I foresee a championship in their future.
Right.
If they do it right.
When you look at Lamar, you look at Jalen Hurts, you look at Justin Fields, Deshaun. Deshaun is not as mobile, but he can run. He's more of a pocket passer.
Yep.
When you look at a guy, take a guy like a Jalen Hurts, and you see where he's come from. Second round pick, goes to Philly. People are like, well, hold on, y'all just gave Carson Wentz all this money. Why would you take a quarterback? they saw something. Clearly, they saw something. This kid's a winner.
Right.
He has tremendous intangibles.
Right.
He's an off-the-chart leader. He maybe doesn't have the biggest arm, doesn't have the best accuracy, but there's something to be said about a guy that knows how to win, and he can get his team to rally behind him. That's something I don't believe Carson Wentz was ever able to do in Philly.
Yeah, I think attitude is everything, man. Just having a chance to sit down with Jalen a couple weeks ago, to hear him speak about direction,
Right.
Not just for him, but the team. It's like, man, I'm willing to get up at 6 in the morning. I'm willing to come in early, go in the weight room, get some extra treatment, and go watch some film, and get with the guys and have a good time in the locker room and go watch some more film.
Right.
It's like the dedication, to a certain degree, will always lead to success.
Yes.
And I think if you just in some cases, if you just keep your head down and keep grinding, good things come to those who wait. Sometimes you can wait too long and you get the leftovers. But hey, if you at the forefront of it and they believe in you, you always got a shot. And I think he's a guy that he's been through so much. He's embraced that role.
Right.
It's just yielding great dividends for him right now, I think.
Yeah, I think the thing is that I look at it because a lot of times as a quarterback, you got to be a lot of different things. You got to wear a lot of hats. You got to be a politician. You got to shake a lot of hands. You got to smile on a lot of guys' face.
Yep.
You just because you're on the offensive side, you got to mix with the defensive guys. You got to talk to the special teams guys. You got to be part psychiatrist. You got to guys got a problem, they go come to you. You got to talk to them about
all of the above.
You got to be part coach, part big brother. You got to be all of that. When the quarterbacks now, Tom Brady. 43, 40, oh, Tom, 45.
He's 45.
45, 23rd season. Struggled a little bit earlier this year, seems to be turning around. Aaron Rodgers, struggling, played great against Green Bay, struggled again against the Tennessee Titans.
Yep.
What are you seeing from these guys? Because it seems that the statuesque quarterback, like Tom Brady, like we saw with Peyton Manning, like we saw with Drew Brees, it seems to me that those guys are becoming relics. That the guys, they're morphing away from those guys. And I'm not saying the guy has to be you, but a guy has to have like Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
Guy have to have somewhat like a Josh, a guy that can have mobility.
Yeah, little Josh Allen.
Yeah.
It saddens me because I idolized Peyton and Drew and Tom for so many years. Like, even when it came to Madden, I'm like, man, I'm not playing with me. I'm not playing with Donovan, even though Donovan was dope on the game. I'm like, Steve McNair. I want what they got. I would love to have what they have in terms of the sense of playing the quarterback position. I want to get there one day. That's my ultimate goal, is to one day just come to the line, change plays. We moving, we running. And so to see, and it'll be some quarterbacks I thought Trevor Lawrence would be that guy, but still Trevor Lawrence can move a little
Trevor Lawrence can move.
Can move. So it's like every guy who's coming in now, if you look at the guys who will be coming out in the next couple of years, was it Caleb Williams from USC?
Caleb Williams, Bryce Young.
Bryce
CJ
Young.
Stroud doesn't run as much, but you see obviously Caleb Williams can run. Yeah. But you see Bryce Young got better wheels.
He got a little better wheels, and so it's like the game is trending towards. That's what coaches want.
Right.
You see Daniel Jones, like they call him Vanilla Vick. I thought that was the funniest thing ever. But it was cool. It was a cool.
What do you think is going on with Aaron Rodgers? And I've told people, I said I think Aaron Rodgers is going through what Tom Brady went through in 2019. He needs more talent around him.
Yeah.
Brady realized that there's not just good enough for me to have a guy that can catch the ball and fall down.
Yeah.
I need more, because as we age, no matter what it is, a professional sports or not, we need more help doing things as we start to age.
Oh man. Absolutely.
And so before Tom Brady could take 3 guys from Dorchester and go win a ball game.
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers could go take 3 guys from Ashwaubenon, Wisconsin, and he can go win a ball game. Now, they got to have, you see Mike Evans, you see Chris Godwin, you see top-notch defense, a top 5 defense.
Yep.
You got to have all those things. Where Brady before, I remember Aaron Rodgers won the MVP. He had the #1 offense and the 32nd ranked defense because he could overcome that.
Overcome it, yeah.
He can't now.
Man, it was like when I got older and I lost Deshaun and I lost Jeremy Maclin, I seen what type of profound effect it had on just my everyday play.
Yes.
Like even in practice, it's like, now I got to find ways to make this work.
Right.
And it's not the same caliber of guys. I think for Aaron, I don't think age has anything to do with the decline with the entire team and the decline in his play. I just think that not having Devontae Adams, we all underestimated that whole situation. It's just that connection.
Yeah.
And I think Aaron did the same thing. I mean, I don't know if, and I wasn't, none of us was in the room. We didn't know who fought for who to keep what, to
Well,
keep
he turned down more money from Green Bay to go to Vegas, but he did say he felt the uncertainty. You can't keep saying you're gonna retire this year. I don't feel bad getting into it. He's
Yeah.
like, man, I want some security.
Right, yeah,
I want that.
Yep.
But you look, when you're a great player, sometimes you overestimate your ability and underestimate someone else.
do.
Because he's like, well, I did win 2 MVPs before you got here.
Yeah.
He started seeing the stats. Aaron Rodgers is this many and when Devontae Adams is hurt.
Yep.
And they're like, man,
Reading the
I'm gonna do my thing. I'm good.
Yeah.
And then
Start reading the headlines.
Hey, you see what Devontae, he's that dude.
Yeah, he is. It's a shame in regards to what he's going through in Las Vegas right now. But hey, maybe he might circle back to Green Bay in a couple years.
He go back to Green. The weather's too nice up in Vegas. They play indoors, no state income tax.
Yep.
With Tom, you saw Tom, and Tom was struggling this year. Obviously, he was going with some things off the field. Maybe we didn't know to the extent.
Yeah.
But I think we all surmised when he left for 11 days in training camp. You and I both have been to training camp. Unless there's a death in the family or some medical emergency, they're not allowing you. You're not getting 11 days. You might get a day. You're not getting 11 days. So we knew something was going on, maybe not to the extent in which it came to fruition that he ended up later getting a divorce. And I know I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully everything is going well in his life now. Yeah. But what do you think was going on outside of dealing with what he was dealing off the field? What did you see watching Tom on the field?
Yeah, it was no cohesiveness. And, I heard you say on the show, it's like the run game is not present. Any season I've ever been a part of where we didn't have a run game, it was tumultuous. It was horrible. It was hard to move the chain. It was hard to move the ball, and things just don't click. It's not as easy. People underestimate the play action game.
Yes,
and
Tom is huge in
play
play
action. When them backers not stepping up or peeking off the play action because they not worried about the run.
Right. Then now they're in your throat.
Now there's no lanes and it gets harder. So I always felt like Tom was at his best when he had guys like James White. Even, he could dump it off to him and it's extension of the passing game. But, I see them turning the corner and turning the page. And I also think Bruce Arians' influence. I love Brian Leftwich. I love Brian and what he's brought to the table. But I also, Bruce Arians is like Andy Reid, an overseer. You always need an over, and when we think we got all the answers as players, and we think we great, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we need that overseer.
Deshaun, obviously we know a phenomenal talent. He's gone through some things. He got suspended for 11 games, dealt with a lot.
Yep.
You was a guy that was in a situation, you dealt with some things, and you came back and you had to face that. And that's never gonna go away. Never gonna go away because you went to Philly, it followed you to Philly. You went to Pittsburgh, it followed you to Pittsburgh.
New York.
And so you're gonna hear it. There's gonna be somebody in the stands that's gonna have a sign. There's gonna be some people when you pull up on the bus. They're gonna be out there.
Yep.
How would you tell Deshaun? If you could sit down and talk to Deshaun, how would you tell him how should he handle the situation moving forward?
Yeah, for one, you got to take it one day at a time.
Right.
And don't take it personal.
Right.
Like especially when it's self-inflicted.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to roll with the punches and you got to accept your wrongs and move forward. And I think for me for a long time it was super emotional.
Right.
I'm like, I got to take my emotions out of this, and I kind of got to look myself in the mirror and say, okay, you made this bed, you got to lay in it, and I think that's kind of the approach that he got to take moving forward. And at the end of the day, he still has an opportunity to go out and play ball and do the things that he loved to do. And if that's enough to clear his conscience in a 4-hour time span, and you're gonna hear echoes, you're gonna hear whispers, now your resolve and your resiliency is gonna be tested on all levels.
Right.
And so for him, it's about just staying true to himself and doing whatever you can to always try to make amends and pertaining to the situation that you went through.
Let's talk about that period that you went through in your life. You get the $130 million contract. At the time, you were the highest paid player in the NFL.
Peak, yeah.
Mike, I lived in Atlanta when you were in Atlanta, and you might have been, you were as popular, if not more popular than Chipper Jones. And everybody, if you from Georgia, they know what you.
Chipper. Shout out to Chip.
And so I'm thinking to myself, Mike, you could have had a car dealership. You could have had about 5 or 6 McDonald's. You could have had franchise after franchise. You get that money. What made you to think to say, you know what, I want to do something that, I don't know if you thought that what you did was that harmful, but I'm saying a dogfighting ring, that's what you probably got 25 million aside.
Yeah. I mean, I had 13 million in the bank when I was 25, 26 years old and didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
That's where I come from.
Right.
You know, by the time I end up taking
You ain't think
care
about
of
a car
moms,
wash? You ain't think about a barbershop?
I was young. I went to Arthur Blank and I told him, I said, Mr. Blank, he used to always come to me like, you spending all your money, This is real story, true talk. And I'm like, nah, I got $15 million in the bank. I don't know what to do with this money.
Right.
I got everything I want, every car, every house, whatever. I don't know what to do, and there's more coming.
Got mom situated.
Yeah. So I'm like, I got to protect this now. So I'm like, introduce me to some people.
Right.
And help me, grow this.
Right.
And so we had to sit down and it kind of went crazy. And that's, to be determined. But yeah, man, I was taking those steps to invest my money properly, and money was put into Union City, Atlanta. Was gonna build a city, strip malls and restaurants, and we had a grant. I was getting there.
Right.
I was turning the car. I was doing what I was supposed to do. And then I ended up, as I started to turn the corner, as I started to see life different, I got a young, daughter at the time. I got a son that's like 4. And, as I'm starting to make change, it was just a little too late.
Right.
It was a little too late. And then I ended up going through that, and they took everything from me.
Right.
They took everything, Shannon. Like I had $8 million like invested in the city. They took it all. I'm like, yo, how you do that?
So in other words, they thought that the money that, even though you're a professional athlete, they think that the money that you got it through ill-gotten means, that you got that through the ring.
No, I earned that. I earned that. That came from my play.
Right.
I saved I might have spent close to maybe liquid, maybe like $2 million.
Right.
But it was just so much bread.
Whose idea was it to say, hey, Mike, I got this great idea? Because normally homeboys come up, they got a car wash, or they going to get you to the club.
Yeah.
Hey, homeboy, we ought to open this club.
Yeah.
With your money. You take all the risk.
With your money.
Everybody got all these ideas, Mike, with your money now. Ain't nobody else bringing anything to the table but an idea.
Right.
No money,
right.
idea. So when they came to you, say, hey, Mike, I think we can do this. Because, with any business, it has to have a business model, business plan. You got to get dogs. You want to get the best dogs from all around the world. You might have to import dogs from Argentina, wherever they do that at. You might have to import the dogs.
Right.
Okay, now we got to build out. We got to build kennels to house the dogs.
I will say this, that had nothing to do with any of my friends.
That was you?
Yeah, I grew up under that. So like I grew up seeing that, grew up watching it. So it just never, like I still had the hood in me.
You're right.
I still had the hood in me. And it's like, yo, we're gonna stay true to our roots.
Mike, you worked your ass off. You had a lot of homeboys that didn't work as hard as you and stayed there. You worked your ass off to leave there in order to just to go back.
Yeah, but nobody never
to visit.
Nobody never went to prison though.
You didn't think?
Yeah, so I'm like,
I know about. I'm from a small town in the South.
Yeah,
and I know about dog
so
fighting.
So you can relate, yeah.
But I had never heard of anybody going to jail either.
Me neither. So so that's why I was like, so I didn't go to prison for that.
Right.
I went to prison for interstate commerce.
Right.
Which was kind of confusing. Like, damn, okay. So laws and rules had to be changed in order to make it so that, but look, that's water under the bridge.
Right.
Got a documentary coming out to talk about it all. Okay. And just kind of clearing the air on the big misconceptions and the way I'm perceived. It's like, I don't take anything away. I don't blame anybody but myself for everything. But it's some things that I do feel like I got to take advantage of in a lot of situations.
I look at it like this. You didn't have any homeboys? Like when you first started coming on the show.
My homeboys are sharp though. They wanted nothing but the best for me.
Right.
But they knew I was a hard head.
Hard
head. Not because I had a lot of money and I could make decisions, but they knew like, yo, if we deter Mike from doing this, he ain't gonna do nothing but continue to do. You know what I'm saying?
He gonna do it with somebody else. He gonna cut him.
Yeah. So they felt like they felt like they were stuck between a rock and a hard spot with me, and I respect them for that. And I heard the stories of them, wanting me to get away from me, but they didn't know what to do, man.
Right.
Maybe they felt like, damn, Mike cut me off
Right.
if I go too hard on him, and it's really it's messed up because that's how we was on the right track.
Right.
Everybody, and then when I say they had big plans, big dreams, and we started a sports agency, we was doing a lot of stuff, man. They had sharp ideas, and by the decision that I made, screwed everything up.
When they come to fruition, they come to find out you got this ring, and your lawyer, you had the best money that lawyer can buy, and he said, Mike, you're probably gonna do some time.
Yeah.
What was the first thing
let me back up. My lawyer that I really trusted, the one I paid the least amount of money to, kept it real with me. The lawyers I hired, they brung in to paid all the money to.
They were lying.
Lied to me, bro. Took my bread and just dipped off. Just got low, but go ahead.
The lawyer that you paid the least amount of money to, he told you, Mike, you're probably gonna have to go set this one down for a minute.
Oh yeah. It wanted, like when he
broke
broke that news.
But they needed a face now. You said a lot of people didn't go to jail. People didn't go to jail for dogfighting, so they needed a face for something.
Yeah, but still, I knew, like when it was coming to it, I was like, man, you know what, man, this won't right. It won't right. Even though I was turning the corner, wasn't into it like that no more. It was like I still felt shameful for what had happened.
Right.
So it was times where I used to look myself in the mirror and be like, damn, boy, you going to prison. Like, you about to spend some time behind bars.
When did it dawn on? When did it say, man, this bleep just got real. I'm about to go to the house.
When it ain't get real. It wasn't a joke. It was never a joke.
Right.
But it didn't get real till they slammed that door and they locked it. And I was like, hold on. Wow. This is really just happening right now.
You like 3 months ago, I had 15 mil in the bank.
I was like, no, just a week ago.
A week.
Well, it was it was all coming, and I still had all my bread.
Yeah.
But it was like when they closed that door, it was like so for my first day in there, they kept coming to check on me to make sure I was.
It's like suicide watch because they say people.
Yeah, so they know it's my first time.
Yeah, you
I'm claustrophobic. I think they was peeking in on me, so like the walls and everything. I mean, it's, you're just in a room, so what I did, I took the covers and I just put them over my head because I'm like, yo, hold on, I feel like I'm about to go crazy for a minute.
Right.
And then I guess until I settled down and they was like, all right, he all right. That's when they started to check on me. But every time they came to that door to check on me, I thought it was somebody coming to that door to say, all right, you know what? You learned your lesson.
Right.
Couple hours.
Right.
Somebody bailed you out. Or somebody walked in. Or I'm like, yo. And then after like day 4 or 5, when I realized that
ain't nobody coming.
Won't nobody coming. That's when I had to start just like letting all the emotions and tears come out.
Did you ever cry?
I cried for 2 weeks straight. Yeah, my wife would say I cried for 2 weeks straight. I really cried after I got sentenced because I went into my sentence and not expecting to get 2 years.
Right.
Expecting it was like I say, I did a lot of stuff shit like leading up to, I failed a drug test.
Right.
I was on pretrial, like just still.
You ever had a drug test on pretrial?
Yeah, failed a drug test on.
Come on, Mike.
Like. How
you gonna go before the judge and talk about, I learned my lessons, I'm apologetic.
Oh, yeah.
I'm asking God, I come at the mercy of the court, I follow the mercy of the court.
He made me pay. He made me pay, Sam. It was funny because I was in the club one night on pretrial in the club. This is where I'm at in life. Like,
they got eyes on you, Mike.
A random dude come up to me and say, you got Judge Henry Hudson? I'm like, yes. He said, I went through my pre-trial, I did everything right. He said, Judge Henry Hudson still gave me 5 years. That's when I knew I was in trouble. And I was like, right then and there, I made up my mind to get ready to go do what I needed to do. I still didn't know I was gonna get 2 years. I thought I would get a year. No, I ain't. I partied hard that night.
You said, let me go on and get this out the way.
Let me get this out the way. Shit is over. It's over. And once he said that, he was like, man, I did everything. And I was like, you know what? This is about to be a chapter in my life that I'll never forget.
Right.
And hopefully one day I can just live to talk about it and laugh about it.
Right.
Like we doing now. It's not a serious matter. This is like, for the next generations to see as they watch this and be like, look, man, don't play with your career. Don't play with what God give you and the position that he put you in. Never take that for granted. And you know, I just wish I would have known better. If I'd have known better, I would have done better. I promise you.
So you laying there in Leavenworth, probably laying on the bed like this here. What is it, 6x9, 8x10?
You know, at first I went to a county jail for like 60 days.
Okay.
I just was like in a cell
Small cell.
by myself, and then I went to Leavenworth,
Okay, you looked at Leavenworth and you laying down there, you was like,
trying not to cry
Mike,
around all
what
them
the
dudes.
F have you done?
Yeah.
Bruh, you had a $130 million contract. You had $15 million in the bank. You got another $7-8 million coming a year for the next 7 years.
You know,
And
it's
now you just like the rest of these knuckleheads that's done
just
something
like everybody
dumb
else.
to get in here.
That I really told myself, you just like everybody else in here, and I'm not gonna act like I'm better than nobody in here.
So what did the guys? So were you ever around any other guys?
I was around. I
So
was
what
with
they
like
say to you? What they
450
say? What
people.
the- what
They
is-
wanted to say that. They wanted to say that, but they had so much respect for me. It was like they brought me in. Like,
Yeah.
come on, little bro, we got to get through this.
Right,
Like they seen the pain.
right.
They seen the pain. The toughest part was being in there and filing bankruptcy though. Cause, you know, for
I'd
all
bury
this
my money.
time,
I put out, you got all that money at the bank. What if
Like-
you got to put all that money and put it in the ground?
I'm like, yo, hold on, I just gave $8 million to this guy over here. Why am I filing bankruptcy? So everybody looking at me like, oh, like you got, I thought you said you had investments. And I'm like, yo, bro, I do.
I do.
So that's always been a mystery to me, and it's a code that I'm still trying to crack to this day, but I'm going a little hard on it now, Shay. I'm going a little hard on it now, man. A lot of money came up missing.
You filed bankruptcy, and I heard you talk about it, and I don't remember where I heard it, but you said, you know what? I'm gonna make right everybody that I've wronged. I'm gonna make full restitution to everybody.
Absolutely.
Why was that so important? Because I know with me, oh well, I'm sorry. Y'all like the rest of them. SOL, bro.
Yeah, bro.
But you paid back every last dime
Golly.
to every creditor. Why was that so important to you, Mike?
Because the money that I invested, I thought I was gonna get that back.
Right.
I thought it was gonna come back somehow, somewhere. I'm like, okay, if I pay everything back, then at least the $8 million that I invested will come back. You know, it might come back double. It might, you know, it might not. We might liquidate it, and it might not be worth what. It might be $6 million.
Right.
But still, at least, okay.
But you got some money
But
coming.
I got something. And so I choose the, you know, the Falcons. They came after everybody came after their money, and
Hold
okay.
up. The Falcons came and got their money too?
yeah. That was the reason I had to file bankruptcy.
What? Hold on. So they wanted the
yeah.
signing bonus back.
Yeah, they came after that bonus. And I respect them for that because it was like, you know, I mean, I was,
That's bad.
yeah, I was
Did you-
hurt. I was hurt, but I lose sleep at night over it because, you know, even just going through the bankruptcy and the whole bankruptcy committee and the trustees and all that, it was like, it was a lot of questions that never got answered.
Right.
And it's just really frustrating. I'm like, damn,
You want to know
I'm-
where the $8 million
like,
went.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, I'm a black man. Like, I work hard for this, and I did pay all the money back, but at least can I get the rest of it? You know what I'm saying? Where's the rest of it? Because the narrative on me is that I was bad with money and I blew all my money and I screwed up. No, I didn't.
Right. Is there anything that you could have done differently? Obviously, being from Newport News, there are a lot of guys from that. Allen Iverson is from that area.
Yeah.
Sweet Pea Whitaker, rest
Sweet
his
Pea,
soul.
yeah, God bless his soul.
Bruce Smith is from he's a little further. I think a little further than you are. But
he
you
is.
have
He's a
some
little older.
tremendous athletes
Yep.
from that area. Your cousin is Aaron Brooks.
Yep.
Quarterback, Pro Bowl quarterback, played with the Saints. Had a nice career. Is there any friends that you could have had, if you could have surrounded yourself with some different people, do you think the situation would have been different? What could Michael Vick have done differently to have a different outcome?
Probably listen to my mom.
So what did your mom say? When your mom, because your mom knows.
When my mom found out what was going on, mom's just like, you need to stop doing what you're doing.
Right.
But Shay, I got $13 million in the bank. I got money in there. I'm looking at it like, Mom, I'm all right.
Right.
I got it. Anything happen, I got it under control. I'm lying to her.
Right.
My mom looked me in my eyes one day and she told me, she was like, you're not happy. Man, I got all this, I got everything. And she like, yo, you're not happy.
What were you
On the
missing?
inside.
Why did she think you weren't happy?
It was just a lot of guilt to what I was doing. I had a lot of other situations going on with kids and family, my son and going through it with, his mom. So I just wasn't in a good place in like 2006, 2007. I was really searching for happiness when I had everything that I thought I wanted and everything I worked hard for in life. And then, and this was before anything even popped off. It was a lot of people coming to me trying to get me on the right track.
You had everything that you had hoped for, Mike, as a child. You hoped to have riches beyond your wildest dreams. You hoped to be more famous than anybody you had ever known, and you had that. You had everything that you had hoped for, but you weren't happy. You didn't have peace.
Yep, I didn't have peace. I just wanted to be drafted in the first, second, third, fourth round. Not even I never thought I'd be drafted in the first round as a quarterback, ever.
When you started, you said you didn't think you were going to be drafted in the first round, and you started hearing talk that Mike Vick might be the first pick of the draft.
I'm like, me? Me? I had a good friend tell me, like, after my first year, Cornell Brown.
Yeah, okay, I played with Cornell. I played with CB up in Baltimore.
Yeah, Cornell was like he used to come pick me up from Virginia Tech. He was like, the Baltimore Ravens said they'll take you in the top 5. I just finished up my freshman year.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. But still, that dream could become a reality. I had one more season to do, and I'm like, I got to stay focused. So I knew I was on my way. I knew I had a shot. It was just all about keeping everything in perspective.
Right. So you get that. You do your time. You did 23 months, right?
Did 23 months.
23 months.
Hard months.
Coach Dungy, I think, did Coach Dungy come visit you?
Coach Dungy came to visit. As soon as I got out, I went straight. I went to see Roger. Arthur Blank came to see me at my house, and it was just good to see those guys, and definitely my conversation with Roger, man. This what changed my life. I sat down with Roger, and Roger was like,
Roger Goodell, the commissioner.
Roger Goodell, and I was like, Roger, because I lied to Roger. I told Roger, bold-faced lie right in his face. Roger, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have lied. Roger said, hey, we're not here to talk about the past. We're here to talk about you moving forward.
Wow.
And that right there was everything to me. It was like we was able to have a meeting with the league office and everybody who was helping and making decisions for me to come back and get reinstated. And that right there changed my life. I mean, obviously seeing Coach Dungy just wanted to make sure like you got empathy, you contrite, and then get a sense of where I was in life. And but Roger and those words, man, just was like, okay, we can turn the page.
Because you say you had lied to Roger. Obviously, the NFL, they got feelers, they got people, they got reaches that go far beyond what the normal person can reach.
Yeah.
So when they got wind of this, they call you in, they talk to you, they ask Mike, what's your involvement? How involved are you in this? Are you involved with this? Or is this someone just using your name? And you said,
I ain't got nothing to do with this. I'm like, man.
You like a child before the parent. Like, did you?
I was just trying to protect so much. Honestly, like when I think about it now, because I can be truthful about it, it was like I had so much respect for just everybody, but my relationship with Nike and what we had built and created all that whole shoe line, and I'm like, I'm thinking about Nike. I'm like, I'm not losing that. And so I was thinking wrong.
Right.
So if I would have went in with a different attitude, maybe it could have turned out a different way. My lawyer always told me, like, I can't represent you if you don't tell me the truth.
Right. So you lied to your attorney too?
Lied to everybody.
God.
I was young,
maybe if you had told the truth, they could have got to the front of this.
Right, yeah.
Got out in front of this, says, okay, this is blah, blah, blah.
I learned so much about myself. I learned, like, just how to be honest. Like, what?
Right.
Trying to tell us the same lie over and over again is impossible.
Yeah, because you're going to forget.
Yeah, and
see, Mike, you should have been to the front of the line to tell. Because somebody beat you to the line to tell. they beat you to the front of the line to tell.
Man, God had a plan for my life, man.
You get out. How did the Philly situation come to be? They had Donovan.
Yeah,
they gave Donovan.
Donovan was one of the guys who wanted to help me. And when they called, I was like, man, I couldn't believe that they called.
Did any other teams
One.
reach out?
Yeah, not Baltimore, but Buffalo. We was talking to Buffalo and we was talking to Cincinnati.
Okay.
And so the premise was not to play my first year, to get myself back in playing shape and not have the whole fanfare around me. So
Right.
to go to a place where you can be a backup, get your feet wet again, and then work yourself back into the playing shape.
And then that didn't go according to plan because you end up playing.
I was able to sit the first year with Andy,
Mhm.
learn a lot from Donovan, learn a lot from Andy, like their philosophy, how they go about
Right.
game planning and going into a game, and it was totally different than anything I ever seen. The game plan, how the coach go about being on the same page with the quarterback, what he expect from you, it was just I was getting in the building at 6 a.m, man, and just doing it different.
So you go your first year you kind of learned, okay, man. What was prior to you going to Philly? What was Mike Vick game preparation like? What was your study habits like? What was it like
In Philly,
before you in Atlanta? When you were the guy in Atlanta, what was Mike Vick's study habits like?
my coach demanded, because I was in a new system, in the West Coast system, so I had to spend some time
Right.
studying and understanding what the message was, like what was we trying to really accomplish on Sundays. And so I took a lot of pride in that. We was able to go to the NFC Championship game my first year in this West Coast system, but then it was so easy to get there. The second year I took a step back. I started doing less because it was so easy. So
Right.
I got spoiled. I'm like, we'll get back. The year 3 in the system, 2006, we didn't even make the play. We didn't make the playoffs in 2005 or 2006. I never got back. And it was all because it was so easy to get there in my first year. So my preparation that year was amazing. I studied because I never wanted to disappoint my coaches. I always wanted them to be proud of me, and I always wanted them to know that I was listening. And I was taking heed to everything that they were saying. And coach, if I say I got it, I got it. But I could have did a little bit more.
Right.
I could have did more as I got older. And I think it's not a coach's job to tell you to do more. You got to do more.
Yeah.
Like I should have volunteered, came to the coach. I'm gonna break down this film. I'm gonna break down this tape, and let's.
What year did you break? Was that 2005, 2006 that you broke your leg in the preseason?
That was 2003.
2003. Okay.
Damn.
You broke your leg in the preseason.
Yeah, broke my leg in the preseason. I didn't finish that season. So 03, I came back at the end of the year.
Right.
With 4 games left, they fired Dan, and then the next year I had a new system and I had to learn. So I spent 2 years with Dan, pretty much.
Right.
Where I played, and then a whole new coaching regimen came in.
Had this dogfighting situation not come up, do you believe Mike Vick was on a Hall of Fame arc?
Yes. Yes. I had a situation in 2006 where I stuck my middle finger up at the crowd. I flicked off the crowd. It wasn't towards our fans. It was towards some Saints fans. That was a big misconception too. But it seemed like things were spiraling out of control for me, and it wasn't until Bobby.
Right.
Bobby Petrino came in with Hugh Jackson.
Right.
And they was teaching me how to play the quarterback position, for protections. I mean, we was just kind of like starting all over in a new system.
Right.
And he was like, man, you're going to be the league MVP this year. And I really felt that way because my focus was different. A lot of my boys had moved out the house. We was living together. My wife had moved in, my daughter. So I was turning the corner.
Right.
And it was, like I say, it was just too late. Everything was starting to take a turn for the worse. But that year, we would have went deep in the playoffs, and we definitely, I definitely would have, been on the Hall of Fame path for sure. I had plans to retire early though.
Did you? And do what?
I don't know. That's why I invested that $8 million. I was like, I'm gonna sit back and chill, own some property.
You mentioned that you had your boys in the home before you had moved your wife in with your daughter. What did they bring? So what were they telling you? I mean, obviously, video games. You like video games. They like video games. You play video games. But what are they adding to Michael Vick's football life? How they help Michael Vick get
supported
better
me a
as a
lot.
football player?
They supported me a lot. Like when I started
They
to
help you
lose.
game prep?
No, but there was like motivational speeches like, man, you need to stop doing this. You need to stop.
Well, damn,
Man,
Mike,
you
what
just
good
stop
to have
hanging out.
friends if you ain't listening?
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying, man. My life was one big misconception. People think it was my boys was my downfall. Nah, they were some of my biggest supporters. They was just in a position where if they go too hard on me and, yo, don't do this, don't
Y'all
do
gotta
that.
go.
Yeah, and I hated that they felt like they wasn't even in that situation. It's
Right.
so unfortunate. But and I never looked at it that way. I might have caught an attitude or been a little
Right.
upset, but I wasn't gonna kick my man to the curb just for telling me stop drinking the yak.
Right.
You know?
I'm looking at you. You come back in 2010. You pass for 3,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a 70 QBR, 63% completion percentage. You come back player of the year, and you go to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Bro,
Andy Reid was everything, man. Andy demanded so much out of me. Andy was like, I went through a lot 2 or 3 years prior, and it was a lot that I had on my chest. I couldn't go to my agent.
Right.
Didn't have a father. My dad wasn't. He was there, but I couldn't.
You didn't feel you could talk to him.
Right. Yeah, I just needed somebody to talk to, man. And like it was like Andy came in my life at the right time. I could talk to him. I could tell him whatever I wanted to tell him and get an honest answer,
Right.
whether I liked it or not. And he didn't care whether I liked it or not either, but he cared. And just to have those conversations, it brought out the best in me. I spent more time in the building, and I just seen like, damn, I always felt like, I used to always tell Coach, if I had you, if you'd have drafted me, man, I know you had Donovan, but if you'd have drafted me, I would have went places.
You end up going to the Steelers, and the fans weren't very happy.
No.
Art Rooney II, he said he felt you had proven himself, and you paid your debt to society,
Yep.
and you deserved a second chance.
Yep. And Big Ben and Mike Tomlin was big advocates for me at the time too, man. And then I sat down Mr. Rooney, and Mr. Rooney was, he was amazing. Like that's truly how he felt. He believed in second chances. And I never been in a locker room where guys embraced me so much. Like even being older, 35 at the time, and I always tell Mike Tomlin, thanks for that experience and that opportunity to play one last season.
Right.
With a good group of young dudes, man, who really cared about football and loved the game.
While you were in Pittsburgh, you played with a young AB. Not the AB that what we see now seems to have a lot of his life spiraling out of control. When you were there in Pittsburgh, what did you notice? And did you see anything that would give you like, man, this dude, he need to monitor, he need to be careful?
Nah, not at all, man. AB was a hard worker. He believed in himself. He loved Big Ben. He was smart, understood the system. He would just get a little agitated if he didn't get the ball.
Right.
I started for 3 games and I didn't target AB. I'll be honest, I didn't really know a lot about the AFC.
Right.
And I didn't know a lot about, because the Steelers, they had guys coming in and out, influx of receivers, from
Right.
Mike Wallace to
Manuel Sanders.
Manuel Sanders, in and out.
Yeah.
And so it's this new guy, and I don't know too much about him, and I'm spreading the ball around. Martavius, Marcus Wheaton, I'm trying to just spread it out. And other than him getting a little aggravated that he didn't get the ball, AB was a great teammate, man. And definitely didn't see the behavior that I see now.
I mean, if you could talk to him, because I thought he had a great situation. Tom Brady went to bat for him.
Yeah.
It's not a whole lot of quarterbacks
Yeah.
going to go to bat, especially with the kind of behavior that he's displayed over a period. So
Yeah.
Tom Brady goes to bat. Bruce Arians wanted nothing to do with it because Bruce Arians had him in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He made it abundantly clear at the beginning of the season. But somehow Tom Brady talked him into it. Tom reaches out, has him in his home, and the way he handled Tom, that's what I'm most disappointed.
Yeah.
Look, you can be a jerk to a lot of people. I don't think you should be a jerk. But someone that reached out, gave you an olive branch, picked you up, propped you up.
Yep.
You do them like this?
Yeah, that right there was a little disturbing to me too, because I know him and Tom was on the same page at one time, and I believe in loyalty and I believe in friendships, true friendships, and I thought they was creating a bond. He pulled him, he put him in a situation where AB was able to get a ring
Yes.
and shine.
Right.
And he turned his back on him.
I just saw you ran 4.740 at 41. I saw T.O. ran like a 4.5, 4.6.
Yeah.
If you train, you think you can get T.O.?
Absolutely. I'm going to train next year.
Are you going to train for it?
I'm going to train next year. Every year I come into, I say, I'm going to train. I don't train. This year I was running, and I was so scared to pull a hamstring. I was like, I just got through the race. But next year I'm going to train, man. I can't say that because T.O.'s a specimen. I'm going to just shoot for 4.6.
You shoot for 4.6.
I'm going to shoot for 4.6.
I mean,
a realistic goal.
I mean, you once ran 4.33.
Yeah, but that was light years. I was 23.
So that is that gonna be the race? I mean, can we get that race?
Yeah. Like, you know what, T.O., I'm gonna take you up on that, man. You know, but T.O. stay in the gym though. He's a gym rat. I'm not a gym rat.
But
I'm a distance runner now.
Give you 3 months. Can we get you down to 4.6 in 3 months?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, you trim, you lost weight. I mean, you're down to you're less than your playing weight.
No. I'm like 214. I got on the scale yesterday.
Well, how much you play at?
I played at 212.
Man, that's too, brother. Man, you ain't breaking this morning. I thought you about to say. I thought you gonna say you was like 200.
Nah. I hold my weight pretty good.
Yeah.
This might put a couple pounds on me, but it's all love.
Hey, bro, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, and a great time, bro.
Hey, all the best. Appreciate your success. You've been able to reinvent yourself. I really appreciate that.
Taking that with me.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life.